What's something people only romanticize because they've never actually done it? Running an animal rescue or sanctuary. It's a noble thing, but not many can deal with the abject cruelty and suffering they will have to face on a daily basis. And for every success story, there are just as many failures. Animals not found in time or too far gone for saving. The realization of just how evil and heartless people can be will severely impact your outlook on humanity as a whole. I ran a chow chow rescue for 10 years, back in the 90s before rescue became mainstream. It's a lifestyle choice with few upsides. Phone calls in the middle of the night from someone being evicted 200 miles away. Leaving dogs in the shelter because you know you have no room. And it would take all your rest scores to save that one dog. Rescuing a dog and taking on the commitment, only to find out the dog has thousands of dollars worth of physical issues. And that is not counting the abused dog so afraid of humans that it can't even accept the treat. But it was also the most worthwhile thing I ever did in my life. I just burned out on my own after I lost my life partner. Sailing. Anything other than a short cruise in gentle weather is a lot harder to work than it seems. I love it, but it's definitely not for everyone, especially when it comes to the experience of an average sailor in the age of sail. It might be fun to do a cruise in a modern sailboat and sing some shanties. But if you pay attention to the lyrics, you will find that these people were miserable and totally hated their job. I was raised by hippie ass motherfuckers, and every time my friends tell me they want to live off grid, I'm like, no you don't. I live half my life off the grid. Look at me, I live in a city now, LO. My childhood sucked. I spent my entire childhood dreaming of not shoveling shit and weeding gardens. I used to bike an hour into town to log on to live journals on the computer at the library so I could get the latest news on Panic at the Disco or MCR. Bro, I hated my life. Owning a bird, especially a parrot or cockatoo. I have a cockatiel and I absolutely love him, but they are so high maintenance. My weekend is reduced to 1 day a week because Saturday is just dedicated to him. They need to socialize. They need to be interacted with to thrive. They need to fly around. They need to hear other birds. Seriously, I wonder how. Australian birds in other countries do never hearing a lorikeet or a corella or a magpie. And on top of that, they live for a long fucking time. My cockatiel will live for probably around 25 years. A lot of cockatoos have lived for 50 years. Some live for 80. And don't get me started on cockatoos. They chew things, they rip up wood, they scream at 120 decibels. ETC birds are my world and my life, but so many people like the idea of owning a bird that can sit on their shoulder and everything, without realizing the work that goes into keeping them. And unfortunately, that's how you end up with cockatoos with the intelligence of a 5-year-old, human stuck in cages with clipped wings. This is a bit of an obscure one, but for me, the answer is going to Antarctica, specifically McMurdo. I've spent 9 field seasons working on the ice as part of different research projects. In each of my deployments, I'd first pass through McMurdo Station before heading out to the deep field. I'd meet so many young people in McMurdo that all had the same story. They delayed or dropped out of college, or quit their stable job for the opportunity to live and work in Antarctica. They all talked about how it would be this magical experience and had romantic visions of braving the elements like Shackleton. The truth is, though, that most of these young workers ended up living and working in McMurdo, often as janitors, cargo haulers, or in the mess hall. The work is terrible, and they are basically stuck for 6 months in a stinky little diesel town. They watch all the scientists come through and head out to these exotic and remote places, while they are stuck cleaning bathrooms in the McMurdo dorms. With that said, the workout at the field camps is not really any more glamorous. I would work 12-hour shifts in minus 40 tong, drilling and logging ice cores. I've had frostnet multiple times, and nothing heals at those tong. It's incredibly exhausting work, and unless you are really passionate about the science, it can be hard to stay motivated. Thankfully, I do love my work in glaciology, so my deployments have been rewarding. But the days are still incredibly hard. You're always just so cold-headed. For those asking, I'm a professor at a university and worked in the field mostly at Ways Divide and South Pole. Most of my deployments happened when I was a grad student. My research involves the analysis of ice cores. Also, while not necessarily glamorous, I absolutely love field work in spite of all the challenges. Academia and grad school. A lot of people go in thinking it's intellectual freedom in discovering new ideas, and there's some of that. But the bulk of it is writing grant applications, navigating departmental politics, doing the same analysis 12 times because a reviewer asked you to, and spending years on work that might get 4 citations. The romance evaporates pretty fast once you realize how much of the job is institutional survival, not thinking. Traveling full-time, nomad life, looks magical online, but it's just constant stress, laundry, and no real home. Living in a tiny house sounds cute until you realize you can't stand up straight. I just have a small house, and one thing I can tell you people never consider is the lack of any staging areas. Like, I'm trying to finish my basement, but the only free place I have to lay materials is the basement itself, which I'm also trying to build. So I have to wait for the snow to melt and for it to get warm and dry outside so that I can use my backyard. Being pregnant. Had a friend who would declare that she was meant to be pregnant because she was one of those glowing, radiant, thriving pregnant ladies. I was happy for her. I, on the other hand, felt like Gollum, feral, hair thinning, hating clothes, aching everywhere. Food aversions, constipation, heartburn, mood swings, Charlie horses, etc. Working in a restaurant kitchen. Anthony Bourdain made it sound like this gritty, romantic brotherhood. It's 12-hour shifts on your feet in 110 degrees Fahrenheit heat, $15 hour, second-degree burns from the fryer, and someone losing their mind at 10:45 p.m. because the kitchen is about to close and they just ordered a well-done steak. I live in a small, gray town. No, you don't feel like in Silent Hill or a mysterious weirdo. You don't get inspiration from this aesthetic, even though in some point it is pretty. Existing in such a depressing environment, the only feeling you have is emptiness, chronic fatigue, and periodic irritability. You feel like life has no color. You stop thinking beyond the boundaries of this town. It seems that life ends only in this routine and nauseating atmosphere. I speak as a creator who can be inspired and uplifted by any trash can. But living in such an environment constantly is highly romanticized by those who have only experienced it sporadically or through vibe videos and internet partying, and in particular raving. From the outside, it looks all love and light and tolerant. But by God, it's one of the most dramatic, shit-talking, judgmental settings I've ever found myself in. On the surface, it looks great. Under, there's tons of substance abuse and unhealthy behavior. Very escapist. Plus, factor in how the music industry is super predatory and just another form of runaway, overcharging capitalism. Not to say there aren't still quality moments. But my biggest irk is the fakeness of it and the toxic positivity marketing it embraces. Sex on the beach, sorry. But the sand makes a hellish lubricant. Also, creepy crawlies. Someone said, I want my own business because I don't want to have a boss. When you go into business for yourself, everyone is your boss. Your customer, bank, supplier, everyone has something to say about your business. Living alone in a tiny apartment with just the essentials. People romanticize it like it is peaceful, minimalist, and cinematic. In reality, it is you eating pasta over the sink at 11:40 p.m. while one chair becomes a laundry mountain and the silence starts developing a personality. Sex in a pool or ocean or shower. Actually, sex with water involved. Looks easy in movies, not easy in real life. Life as a journalist. Used to look like hot shots stirring social change and your name out. There is a great thinker shaping the world. In reality, you're absorbing an endless onslaught of crime and terror daily that never makes it to the news. And thus a normal citizen doesn't believe you when you inform them that an issue is 100x worse than what it appears to be. So, you're constantly worried about the world while people around you feel like oblivious, argumentative fools. On top of that, low pay, long hours, thankless readers, and death threats for just doing your job. It is absolutely nothing what 2000s rom-coms made it out to be. Large families and a trad wife. Lifestyle. My grandmother was one of 12 children, and they ran a subsistence farm. They had no money, which meant the boys worked from age 12 onward, and the girls were extremely parentified. Her mother was always pregnant and was preparing food for up to 20 people daily, depending on if they had visitors and farm laborers around. Imagine doing that in a house without modern appliances. No washing machine, dishwasher, vacuum, or running water. They had one car, and that was considered a luxury. So was fresh fruit, and books, and clothes without holes in them. As a kid, I never understood why my grandmother refused to wear blue jeans. My mom told me the reason, because she had to wear her older brother's jeans to school when she was young, because that was all they had. And this was in an era where that was not socially acceptable. As a preteen, She was mortified and made fun of because the only clothes she had were worn-out men's farm clothes. When I see young women romanticizing having tons of kids on a small family farm, baking bread from scratch and wearing cute flowy dresses, my mind goes back to the blue jeans story. I wonder if they'd be comfortable sending their 13-year-old daughter to town wearing heavily patched men's pants that are 5 sizes too big. Getting a motorcycle. I enjoyed most of it when I was younger. Wouldn't trade the experience for anything. However, not everybody wants to be outside for the entire trip. There's weather, dogs, and other hazards. The better gas mileage thing doesn't add up. You still have to buy the bike, insure it, buy an expensive helmet, jacket, boots, gloves, usually specifically for motorcycle riding. 2MC tires can cost as much as 4-car tires, and they don't last nearly as long. In 1999, a pair of BMW saddlebags cost $700. Can't imagine what they are now, but you will eventually need to put something somewhere. Like a rain suit, unless you're content on waiting for a storm to subside. I did distance and local riding, about 100,000 miles worth, and many times it was great. But the old saying goes, there are 2 kinds of riders, those who have crashed and those who are going to. Living in the country. Yes, it's quiet and peaceful. It's also terribly boring. You're a significant drive to grocery stores, doctors, everything. You have more limited access to quality schools, hospitals, and other resources. A few job opportunities. And unfortunately, often very bigoted and backwards people in the community. I grew up in the middle of nowhere, a small town of 400 people. I will never live in a rural place again. Thanks for watching. Leave your comments. What do people romanticize just because they've never actually done it? Subscribe to the channel, hit like, and see you next time.